Hello and welcome to Love Samantha Lee, the More Than Just Pretty podcast. I'm your host, Samantha, and here we explore love, life, spirituality, and relationships through the lens of real beauty, the kind that begins the moment you decide to be unapologetically yourself. Join us as we dive into heartfelt discussions that challenge, inspire, and connect us. Are you ready to embrace your true self? Let's begin. What's up, family? What's going on, y'all? So, guys, as I said last week, and I'm committing this to you, I'm going to be unapologetically myself. And I found myself in a season where I wasn't being that. I found myself curating a version of myself that wouldn't be as disruptive. And that's a nice way of putting it. And so today I'm going to give you exactly what God gave me. He kind of slapped me on the hand last week, and I'm just going to be completely honest with you about what it is. So let me give you the front. Well, let me tell you what happened. So last week, y'all, was going into my birthday. And as I stated in my last podcast, that it was kind of a tough time because I was, I'm in between seasons. I'm, not necessarily where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. And there's a lot of mixed emotions about that. And God had put on my spirit to be grateful. Why? Even with my own daughter, when I give her something and I give her it and she's like asking for the next thing, it's like, I don't want to give you the next thing because you're not even grateful for the thing you just asked for that I gave you. And I think God works the same way. And so I really was focused on being grateful and gratitude and things of that nature. But what I found myself slipping into was past patterns. You see, when I was in my 20s, y'all, I struggled a lot with people pleasing. I struggled out a lot with receiving external validation, um, and that being my means of filling myself up, fueling myself, which caused a lot of issues in my life because when you put your validation in the hands of the audience, whether they like you or they don't like you, whether they like your picture or don't like your picture, that's what your esteem is based upon. It's unstable, high self-esteem. And so if I got, and this is of course when this is beginning of social media, right? I come from a time where we doing AOL to MySpace to, then we got Twitter, then we had Instagram and all those different things. So we was just coming into a world where, we were going through the currency of likes and top eights and things of that nature. And I remember just struggling with my identity. Spent a lot of my upbringing wanting so badly to please my family. I often joke and say I was bred to please. I have a strong mother, and my dad is a very sweet and nurturing man, and my mom was the disciplinarian in that situation. And with that being said, there was a lot of pressure on me, not only to perform well in school, but my mom was very big about uh, maintaining my appearance. And I remember when I was 13, I had a conversation with her and she was like, it's time for you to lose weight. Like, you getting too big. And, I think some people look at that as being harsh. Um, and maybe it was, but in my culture, especially in her culture, looks is your currency as a woman. That is your currency. And so she was very big about me maintaining my appearance. That's what she felt like was important, which it is important. We're lying to ourselves if we don't think that. And so it just kind of started um a lot of behaviors where I never really felt safe to be me because I didn't know if I was me, whether I'd be accepted or not. And so a lot of what I would do would be based upon what people thought of me or what they thought I should be doing, and instead of what I felt like I should be doing. And it goes back to my attachment style. I've told you guys before, attachment style is for your fearful avoidant. It's an anxious attachment style, but it's a type of attachment style where you you really try to please somebody. Relationships are really you on this hamster wheel of pleasing, 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 pleasing until you get hurt and you run. Essentially, that's what it is. And I've struggled with that in relationships, and I think that at this point in my life, I've really tried to be unapologetically myself. I.e., being on this platform and telling you guys this. Like, as I'm speaking, I got tears in my eyes because I'm being so honest, and it's uncomfortable. But as I reflected on this behavior, or this pattern of behavior of wanting to please, and doing things to please people, and doing what I think people want me to do, and looking the way people want me to want what I think people want me to look like, and saying things I think people want me to say, it definitely changes my message, and it changes who I am as a person. And I'm therefore not as authentic as I want to be, or want to believe myself to be. And so I found myself last week, as I was going into the week, or my birthday week. I found myself kind of putting my validation in the hands of the audience. And I found myself falling into patterns of behavior that weren't really about like glorifying God or anything like that. It was about me getting the glory, me getting the validation I needed, because I was not feeling it. I wasn't feeling it within myself. I wasn't feeling good enough. That's the truth. And because there's so many different areas of my life where, or not so many, there's a couple, I'm being dramatic, a couple areas of my life where I really want to improve. I really have been praying and trying and putting all of my energy into improving in those areas. I still don't see the movement that I want to see. And sometimes it makes you question what you're doing. And so you default to patterns of behavior that give you those, short hits of dopamine to make you feel like you're good enough. And I resulted to those things. Um, and I think with social media is one of those, it's kind of like a gambling habit, if you will, where you can do posts, and you can get the app, you can get the validation almost immediately. And that validation is like a hit. And when I was younger, in my 20s, I've often talked about this story where, I really wanted a platform. I really wanted certain things at a younger age, but I wasn't mature enough at that time. I wouldn't have been able to steward the power that I have today well. But last week, 22-year-old Sam, who'd been sexually assaulted, who's been homeless, who went through some traumatic things in her first relationship, she showed up. That version of me, that broken version of me, showed up, and was seeking validation, not from God, not from me, from y'all, from numbers, from likes, from insights, from y'all. And again, I love y'all. This is not even against y'all. This is against me. Because God revealed to me that there's a part of me that, as far removed as I think I am, all the enemy has to do is hit a couple trigger points. And here I am, stewarding the power that I've been giving the wrong way. Listen, y'all, I told you, I'm gonna be brutally honest today. I'm gonna tell on myself. And a quote that I heard years ago, it says, "You can't open new doors with old keys." Here I am at this point in my life. I turned 35 on Sunday. At this point in my life, and because I am at a place, a crossroads almost, where really, y'all, the things that I'm facing, I don't have any control over. I think that's what makes it even worse, is because it's like all I can do is show up. All I can do is be faithful. All I can do is trust God. There's not really anything I can really do besides continue to show up for the party, continue to show up for the fight. And I go back to my normal, my what I know to do. You know, you almost, it's almost like when I watch like certain sports. Y'all know I like watching sports, and you'll see a team that has all the promise in the world, and they default to patterns of behavior that they learned in the past. Like that's most comfortable to them. It's not the most effective way to win games, but that's the most comfortable way of them playing, right? And so you'll see, oh, they reverted back to what they how they used to play, and da 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 da. I reverted back because in the most vulnerable moments, which for me, I guess it was one of the most vulnerable moments going into my 35th year, saying the number 35 to myself. I'm like, wow. Like y'all didn't even have a plan. I didn't like have a birthday party. I didn't do any of those things. I didn't really like bring it in the way I would have wanted to, of course. I mean, I did. My mom, my family, my support system, they celebrated me, and the next day I was invited to something, so I went out and I had a good time and everything like that. But I didn't really take the time to celebrate myself because I didn't. I mean, I just wasn't at that place. I'm just being honest with y'all. And so, whether I realize it or not, subconsciously, I was going back to old patterns of behavior to find my validation because I felt like the way that I was doing it wasn't giving it to me. It wasn't. The other ways that I'm trying to be validated, other things that I'm doing to get to certain levels in my life, like whether it be relationships, whether it be my, working and jobs and YouTube and different things that I'm working on my own, like those things are not coming to fruition fast enough. And so I went for the immediate hit versus the one that takes time. And so last week, God convicted me. He said, this is why you can't enter this new door. Because this part of you still exists. I know he's harsh. I know he be real with me, y'all. He said, this part of you still exists. The 20-year-old you, the young you that was broken, that, was whoever, every fawning and doing everything other people wanted you to, or was becoming anything or everything you thought other people wanted you to be, and you allowed society to dictate who you would become, and you did all the quote unquote right things, and you're trying to find your identity in this world, and you're letting the world define you versus letting me define you, and you're trying to find your glory within the world versus finding your glory within me. You're not trying to do my will, you're trying to do your will. You're not trying to give me glory, you're trying to give you glory. And I had to sit down in that seat and realize, yeah, Sam, you are. Maybe the reason why you can't walk through that door is because you can't be trusted with power. Maybe the next level that God is trying to take you into requires for this version of you to die. For this version of you that is still trying to please people, this version of you that's afraid of stepping on people's toes, this version of you that is afraid of standing in your truth, this version of you that needs the immediate gratification of other people being on your side. Maybe that is why you are not able to enter into this door. Maybe God has allowed certain things to occur the way that they have to make you wait, to show that there's a part of you that doesn't really trust it the way you say you do. Maybe there's a part of you, a broken, deep part of you and still doesn't trust God. Doesn't trust God enough and says, you know what? I'm going to get it my own way. Waiting on God's taking too long. God confronted me with me. Because although those dopamine hits feel good when you put a post up and it resonates with people, it feels good. When you get those likes, it feels good. It does. People lying when they say they don't. It feels good. It feels good to be validated. It feels good to feel like, people like what you're doing, or people like what you look like, or people like certain things. Those are positive things, and those are not wrong. I don't want to demonize that. But when it takes precedence over my mission, my purpose, where I'm now not in the will of God because I'm trying to do my own will, when I'm not focused on purpose because I'm trying to figure out me. I'm trying to just meet my needs. I'm not thinking about what God needs me to do. I'm not utilizing my platform to give him glory. I'm trying to give me glory. I went rogue. All because I was hurt. And isn't that just like the enemy, to find a vulnerable moment in us? Use that vulnerability to bring us back to a place we thought we were delivered from. To bring us back to a version of us that we thought no longer existed. And I'm confessing that before you because I confessed it before God. And I said, God, get rid of that part of me. Because I don't want to be that. I don't want that. I want to be trusted. I want you to know that you can trust me. That even though, like, right now, I don't know how things are going to turn out. I have feelings, I have vision, but ultimately God establishes my steps. In fact, yesterday I was sitting in church and Pastor was preaching on a message, and I thought I heard him say a passage of scripture, and he actually didn't say this passage of scripture, which is why I knew it was God that was saying this to me. And it's funny, it was Proverbs 16:9. And I'm gonna read it to you. You'll see how crazy this was. It says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his step. This verse is a reminder that God is in control and that humans should be humble and obedient in their planning. Wow, isn't that crazy? I'm just sitting in church where he's speaking on a whole different passage. He brings up another passage. I think he says that. I looked that verse up. That's what it says. That was God 100% speaking to me like, Sam, you're planning your way. You're going your own way. But only I establish your steps. Like, you can think about where you think you're going to be and what you think this is going to look like. And you can plan that all the way out. But only I can establish your steps. And the only way that happens is if I'm humble and I'm obedient. But sometimes, y'all, if we're being honest, when we're vulnerable and we've been waiting for a while and we're getting impatient and it's hard to see God and we feel like things are just hitting the fan. We feel like God is taking too long. We feel like, okay, God, why isn't this not happening right now? I feel like this is the perfect time. This is the perfect day. This is the perfect moment. Like, you can show up right now, God. It would be amazing if you did. It would be amazing if you vindicated me just now. It would be amazing if you broke through right now. It would be amazing if the numbers ran up right now. It would be amazing if you showed up right now. It would be amazing if you did. But there's a part of this faith journey that I feel like guys, in the beginning, God would just beginner Christianity faith. You get things quicker. Over time, he makes you wait longer. And in James, I think it talks about how I got to find the verse, y'all, because I don't want to be lying to you. It's a verse I just found. I know it. It says, count it all joy when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. What is steadfastness? Let's look that up. Let's just go look that up. Steadfastness. It says resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering. Unwavering. What's the biblical definition? The biblical definition is strong devotion or loyalty. So God is saying in James 2, or excuse me, 1, 2 through 4, he's saying, count all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. It produces an unwavering. And the fact that y'all, I wavered, God was revealing to me, no, I'm testing your faith. I'm testing it. I'm making you wait a little bit longer and longer and longer and longer. And the reason why you have the vision and the reason why you can feel it coming to pass, but yet you're still not where you feel like you should be, is because I am creating you. I'm perfecting something in you that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. I am doing something that even though you're just focused on the little things, oh, the platform and the building of this and building of that and this, that, and that, all these little things that I've got in my mind, these little goals I have for myself. Guys, like I'm thinking big picture. I'm thinking about what I'm creating in you. So that when I do give you the platform, when I do give you the business, that when I do give you the relationship, that when I do give you the things that you are waiting on me for, you will be able to steward these things well. And the version of you that is showing up in this 35th year as you walk in, this version, I'm revealing it to you because it has to die. You can't be this people pleaser. You can't be seeking out people's approval of you. You have to be more focused on the purposes I have for you in seeking my glory than seeking your glory. Because if you get in the way of me, then I can't use you. And you are dumb if you think I can't use somebody else. But I've chosen you. I've chosen you. And I believe in you. And I need you to believe in me. Somebody on here is believing in God for something. It hasn't happened yet. And like, God, I thought if I went this way, if I did this, if I did that, you would just show up. Because I thought that this is what you wanted me to do. But the path that you've chosen hasn't been easy. You've just been met with trials and tribulations. And you're like, God, if this is the direction you want me to go, why is this so hard? I want to encourage you, family. God is creating new keys in this season. And it's up to us to drop off the old keys at the altar and allow him to give us new keys. We can't create the new keys. That's another thing I want you to know. I think a lot of people, we get focused on behavior and like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. It's a surrender that God's looking for. It's a surrender and a desire to do something different. God can use that. And y'all, I'm sitting here and I've sat this morning very humbled and surrendered before God. And he spoke to me. I heard him. And I'm feeling things I've never felt before in the spirit. But I know that God in this season is asking me to surrender the keys, to drop off the keys, that I'm going into a new apartment. I'm going into the penthouse. And the only way that I can get into that penthouse is if I drop off the keys to the apartment I've been living in. But a lot of us are so committed to the dysfunctions, to the comfortability, to the things that we have in that apartment that we won't even drop off the old keys. Because for me, I don't know y'all, some of the things that I do or have defaulted to are the most comfortable for me. In the past, it's been food. Food has been a comfort for me. I'll overeat or, look to food or whatever to comfort, to calm me down. Some people look to social media. Like I said, I've been there before where you're posting things to get the validation, and that's your dopamine hit. Food can be a dopamine hit. Getting your favorite cookie, or, I've had a bad day, let me go get a bowl of ice cream or whatever. Or, some people gamble. Some people smoke. Some people do other things. We all have something that we run to when things get challenging to get that hit. And I'm just confessing it in front of you guys to say that God revealed to me that in order for me to get to the penthouse, I got to drop off my keys. That there are new doors that he wants to open for me, but I haven't dropped off the keys yet. And the only way I can get into the apartment is to relinquish my old one. But the reality is, I've gotten so comfortable with my old ways and my old ways of being, because in past seasons, those behaviors served me well. They protected me. They comforted me. They were there for me when no one else was. And now you're asking me to relinquish those things because those behaviors are beneath the version of me that God is creating in this new season. And so last week, as I was going into my 35th birthday, I realized and I became more aware. Okay, God, I get it. I get it. You have just shown me that there's an area in my life that I need to surrender. There's an area in my world that I haven't really addressed, that I need to address in order to open the doors that you want me to open and handle the responsibilities that you have for me in order to steward whatever you have for me in my next season. I don't know what God has for me, family, but I know it's big. And I don't know what God has for you, but I know it's big. Why? Because he says exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ever ask, think, or imagine. But I want to speak to somebody right now that is listening to me. There are behaviors that you keep going back to. There are relationships you are staying in or continuing to just be in that are beneath you, that are below you because they're comfortable. You don't have to change. You don't have to shift. They are just there. And you just stay in it because it's the most accessible, convenient, comfortable place for you to be. I'm saying to you right now that God is asking for you to drop those things off at the altar. Those behaviors, whatever that is, whether it's drinking, whether it's smoking, whether it's, and y'all, I'm not here to even be that voice because I'm not that voice. What I'm here to say whatever God has me to say. I told him that I'm relinquishing it all. I'm surrendering it at the altar. So please do not take this as me being holier than thou, because I'm saying this to you from the same seat. I'm saying this to you as your like accountability partner, but I'm riding in the boat with you. God is asking for us in this season to drop the things that we run to when times get hard, when things get tough, when the old faithful, whoever or whatever that old faithful is, that we run to find comfort, that we run to when we're not feeling good enough. What do we do? What do we run to? What do we look for? I have people that I know, and I'm just being honest, they go to bars to get the attention of men. They go to malls to get the attention of men. They go to different venues to find women. They do whatever it takes. They'll go on dating apps immediately to find women and get the attention that they weren't getting before. They start seeking those things out because it does something for them. And that doesn't make them wrong. That is like what was put upon us from Adam and Eve time. The desire will be for her husband, and he will rule over her. That is the curse that was put upon us. We are to desire the connection and desire the relationships. However, a lot of us allow it to truly be where we find our solace, our comfort, our healing, our wholeness. And it's not meant to be that. It is out of capacity. And that's why it doesn't work. That's why it's broken. That's why it feels the way that it feels. Because relationships were to be a complement to what you had going on. It's not supposed to be the main thing. And that's a whole nother conversation. But that's why we do relationships, we do dating wrong, because we're doing it from broken places. We're not doing it from whole places. And I'm saying this from being in those shoes. I was dating from broken. And so therefore I was attracting broken and entertaining broken, looking for someone to fix me, looking for someone to fulfill me. That is no one's job but mine. I've got to be a whole glass looking for a whole glass. I've got to be a whole individual looking for a whole individual. A lot of us are looking for people that we are not. Instead of focusing on becoming who we want to attract, we're just like, oh, I just want to attract this. I'm not even focused on becoming. That is a part of the process. That is exactly what James is saying. Listen, a part of why you keep dealing with these trials and these tribulations is not because you're doing something wrong. It's not because you've gone in the wrong direction. The storms are coming because you're going in the right direction. I know that's countercultural. I know that doesn't make sense. But the fact that we're facing these challenges, the fact that we're being confronted with self, is because God is saying, listen, in order for you to get to the next level, there's a level that you are supposed to be going to soon. This is supposed to be an encouraging word. Listen, God is saying breakthrough is near. The only thing is you can't access breakthrough until you can be the type of person that will be responsible with breakthrough. I bought the keys to the car, or I bought the car. But I can't give you keys to the car until I know you can drive. Right? I bought the pots and pans and I got all the ingredients, but I've got to make sure you know how to cook before I give it to you. I can't give you what you're praying for until you become the version of you that can steward that responsibility well. Old keys cannot unlock new doors. And so I say to somebody today that's listening to me, it's time to surrender those keys. You've had them for so long, and maybe they served you well in one season. Those anger issues, those outbursts, fighting, cursing, acting out, drinking, whatever that, I don't know what behavior you choose when times get hard. That has protected you, that has comforted you, that you know that God is calling you out of. It's time to surrender the keys. God's got the penthouse available for you. But the only way that you can access it is if you surrender the keys to your current apartment. I hope this makes sense, family. It's time to surrender the keys. It's time to surrender the keys. It's time to surrender the old keys so that you can receive the new ones. Thank you for spending your time with us on Love Samantha Lee, the More Than Just Pretty podcast. It's been a privilege to share this space with you where we celebrate being unapologetically ourselves. I hope today's episode has encouraged you to embrace your own unique beauty and the beauty in others. Don't forget to follow us and join our community on social media. Share your journey and your insights, and let's continue this conversation. Until next time, remember, real beauty starts with you being true to yourself. I love you, family, and I will talk to you soon.